Hello Tacticians, it's Nox here, and today we're going to be looking at two characters who perform a fairly similar role, Jain Zar and Ulf. Which one is actually better? Now, Jain Zar is obviously a legendary, and her legendary event is due to come back next week. Ulf, on the other hand, is a standard character who we've just gone through the event to collect to see how far we get him. So, how do they stack up? Well, the only way to get Jain Zar is through the legendary event, and to do that you're going to need a load of characters geared up to at least silver 1, preferably higher, to get enough shards to unlock her. Ulf, on the other hand, I'm imagining most of you have now got, because he has only just been released and most of you watching this would have gone through the event to unlock him. So how can Ulf, a brand new character, compare to Jain Zar? Well, as I mentioned, they actually perform a very similar role, and that role is basically to run in and hit things as hard as they possibly can. Now, Jain Zar does have a slight advantage here because of the fact that she does piercing damage. However, having said that, her damage is actually slightly lower than Ulf's. Jain Zar only does 324 damage per hit for piercing damage, whereas Ulf has a higher base damage of 530, but the piercing power of the power damage that he does is actually only 40% compared to 80%. However, if you run the numbers, the two final figures aren't that different. The other thing to point out is, obviously, Ulf here does have a higher base armour. It starts out at 321, and because I've given him the Sanctified Mark 10 Pauldron, it gives him some extra armour and some extra health, which gives him the bonus over Jain Zar when it comes to taking hits. Having said that, Jain Zar has her own ability where she minimises the amount of damage from the enemy units that she's standing next to. So, in a way, I guess you can say they're both fairly survivable, with Ulf being maybe a little bit better at taking the ranged shots. However, Jain Zar isn't without a small trick up her sleeve because she has Infiltrate and she will never trigger Overwatch. And when it comes to PvP, this is actually a very useful trait to have. Ulf, on the other hand, has Final Vengeance, so if he dies, he strikes back one last time, and he is unstoppable, which means the fire, razor wire, broken ice, and other tile effects that would stop units from moving doesn't actually affect him. So although his movement is one less, there are times when he'll be able to charge in when Jain Zar cannot. Now, obviously, as you probably can tell, my Ulf is at Epic, Jain Zar is a Legendary, so Ulf's armour and health will actually increase from what they are at the moment, should I actually ever get him to Legendary, which I certainly hope I will do at some point. So, let's actually compare them in various parts of the game. First of all, the campaign. Well, I'm sorry Jain Zar, Ulf beats you hands down here because, unfortunately, Eldari do not have a campaign, and as a Space Wolf, he can join the Imperial campaign in any of its missions that allow 4 or more characters, or if you've already completed it with the required 3. So, what about guild raids? Well, I do use Jain Zar when we fight against Ghazghkull. The reason being she does have an additional benefit when working alongside Aethana and Eldrian, because of course she is an Eldari. Ulf will of course get some of the benefits, but not the full amount that Jain Zar would get there. The benefit Ulf would have was of course when Ghazghkull calls in his Orc boys. If they ever end up next to Ulf, he's going to give them a good old hit just for being there, so it's not all going Jain Zar's way. Against the Tyranid Guild Raid bosses, I could see either of these two being used if you didn't have Roswither. Roswither is still the toon of choice for me against these guys, purely because of the extra damage she does against Psykers. If you don't have Roswither, then either of these two have certainly got the possibility to be used. Jain Zar with her piercing and the ability to use Silent Death when a bunch of them group up, and Ulf when, well, if there's a summon ending up next to him, he's going to give it a good hit. And finally we have the Necron Guild Raid boss, and to be honest, I wouldn't use either of these two here. You are far better using your ranged troops against Zarek than melee characters. The reason being he very rarely comes down off his throne, and the summons that he produces are actually ranged ones, so they don't want to get into close combat. Since I need to choose a winner here, I think it will be going to Ulf. This isn't to say Jain Zar isn't a good choice if you have her. She will certainly have the additional benefit when teamed up with other Eldari, but I think Ulf, with his passive to attack the summons, is just a little bit more useful. However, make sure you have got that passive leveled high, because otherwise he's going to die before he even gets a chance to hit. Finally, we have PvP, and we're lucky enough to have a live PvP tournament start today. So let's see who wins. And here we go against Quill. Okay, so Ulf is within range of getting the extra health, and Jain Zar is within range of getting the melee hits power up. Now, as you can see, she's having to move forward to get there, so this is one area where she is actually very good. However, she's now going to be at the mercy of Calendis and Archimatos there, whereas Ulf will have some protection from Ray Vass, and I will move some of my other characters up. So I'm imagining there Thaddeus Noble will drop the barrage, hit Ray Vass and Calendis. I probably should have moved Calendis over to the left to at least protect Jain Zar, because I'm imagining this Calendis, there you go, I'm imagining this Calendis is going to come down, pick up the damage power up, shoot Jain Zar, and then probably move over to get the armour power up. Or he might actually shoot my Calendis, one of the two. Let's see if my Jain Zar can withstand this punch. She does, mainly thanks to the shield. And there you go, there's the shield he's picking up as well. So this Calendis is actually terrifying. Now, if these two are reversed, I could move Jain Zar into there to actually do some damage. However, they're not, so I'm going to have to move, keep Ulf away, and I'm going to use his axe. Now, the axe won't trigger Calendis's ability, because I don't think the special moves do. And then what I'm going to do, because they're all on ice, I'll use Jain Zar's Silent Death to nearly kill them both. Oh, I really want to kill him. He's going to have to die. And he's punched. Okay, and we'll get some of my demons surrounded his Archimatos. Excellent, I'm in a great position. And lovely 1-2 by Ulf and Jain Zar there. Yep, Jain Zar took a barrage to the face. And Ulf is just going to join in on... of course, I forgot about that. Let's get rid of... And he's retreated. So I then played another game, which I'm not going to show you all of them. I've played another game in Ranked, which I used both Ulf and Jain Zar, and I played a few more casual ones just to get the hang of them. And I've got to say, they work very well together. If you get Ulf to drop his Great Frost Axe and then push in Jain Zar with a Silent Death, it's a lethal 1-2 combo. If I had to choose only one of these two to take into the tournament arena, it still would be Jain Zar, but only just. And the reason being is that movement of 4. It has come into an effect more often than Ulf's ability to move through barbed wire. Although we did see on that last one, he did move through barbed wire to land that great Frost Axe hit. So, as I said, with the Guild Raid, with Ulf just beating Jain Zar is just my favourite here as well. However, as with everything, if you've got both, certainly try both to see which one you prefer. I mean, you don't have to take them in at rare, that's the level I take them in at. If you've got them at uncommon, they'll be equally as good there. Overall though, if you want to focus your levelling of a single character, it looks like Ulf is the way to go, mainly because of his use in the campaign and the guild raids. However, if there's ever an Eldari campaign, Jain Zar will certainly be useful there too, so it's a bit more equal than it really looks here. If you want to see more PvP battles with these two, just please leave a comment below and I'm more than happy to show them as these live PvP tournaments occur. I am by no means the best player at live PvP tournament. I do tend to get in the top 500 or so, but I'm not ever really contending for first place. How are you finding this new PvP tournament? Are you using Ulf? Are you wishing you could use Jain Zar? Please let me know in the comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're looking for a new guild or wish to join a guild cluster, feel free to reach out to us at Eriot because we're always welcoming new people into our fold, and we'll all be seeing you on the battlefield.